From the ashes you will rise. After the dust settles, you will see that it was only meant to start your new from the ashes. After the dust settles. What's up, everybody? This is your boy Titus Glenn, and guess what? We're here talking new beginning with Madam Secretary and Miss Winking Wink. Get it out, Titus. Winking Eye
We
Production.
started this right there.
Listen, we started just like that. I get a redo. We're gonna get a new beginning in Winking Eye Productions to Cara Hyde. Yes,
Winking Owl production. Jesus.
I'm having a brain for it. We're gonna start that over. Winking Owl Productions to Cara Hyde. See,
Hey.
y'all, you can always start over. How about that?
Always.
So, y'all, today's show we're going to be talking with a couple of guests who's experienced loss by fire, and just kind of talk about things that they did to start over, and how was that whole experience. So we're just having a conversation. So I'm gonna bring our first guest in the room, Mr. and Mrs. Roberson. So we're gonna get them in the room. They're loading up. They in the room.
Hey.
What's up, fam?
Hey,
Hey,
So y'all, we have today Mr. and Mrs. Roberson. They're family to me. This is my first cousin and her husband, and I just wanted to have this dialogue because we're getting ready to release Titus Glenn single "New Beginning," and we've had this concept about just talking new beginning all the way around. Last week we talked fitness and health. This week we talk about fire and starting over after fire. So I kind of want to just maybe share your story, Latrice and Q, on just even like how it started and the whole experience of what went down. When the fire at your house happened.
okay. So basically, we were just sitting on the couch watching a movie, and Q put some things in the dryer, and then we were saying like, "What's that smell?" And then Q, did you look into the laundry room?
yeah,
And then
it,
he saw the fire.
yeah, because like she said, we was laying down, watching the movie, and I smelled something, like you could smell like the flames, but it was some type of different, this one no burning smell,
Mm-hmm.
this was like, so I went in and looked in the washroom, and as soon as I looked in the washroom, I just seen the fire behind the dryer, and smoke came out, and it immediately like took over the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we
Wow.
couldn't, and that was crazy because we didn't see any smoke until I laid my eyes on it.
Wow, you couldn't see the smoke at all until you actually saw the fire.
Right, and the door,
Wow.
and our door was open to the washroom, and like I said, when I seen the fire, that's when the smoke came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, man, this is crazy. So we had to, get out of my son. He has asthma, so he was number one priority to definitely get out. And once we got out, we called, 911. They arrived, what, about 10 minutes?
Yeah. It took
10
about.
minutes. It took them 10 minutes. Oh wow.
We was sitting outside for a while. Because even when we came back, like I was like in my head, I was thinking it was not that bad. I was really thinking it would just be in that one area. So I was saying, oh, so what we need to do, just stay out the house like 1 or 2 days. And then they were just like, no. Because like on the outside you couldn't see the damage until
Hmm.
you got inside. So we tried to come inside to try to get a couple of things because we like in my head I was thinking, oh, we just need to let it air out. But it was
Mm.
like the living room and the kitchen was all like burnt out. Like you couldn't. The walls were down to the what do you call it, the studs?
Yeah.
So and then it was just like black all over the other parts of the house. And then of course they had to turn off the electricity. And then the floors just had water everywhere from them spraying the fire. But we were out once we moved out. They put us our insurance put us in a hotel.
Mm.
And we were out for about 6 months.
Wow, 6 months. Were you able to collect anything from the house? You know.
Um, well, they had the insurance company called a company out to try to get what they can save, and some
Mhm.
things they were able to save, but we couldn't get it until it was time to move back in. So we still didn't have anything for those 6 months. And then
Wow.
after 6 months, they brought some things back, and then you can go through it. But I gained weight, so I couldn't even wear those clothes
Wow.
because if you gotta think about it, this is during COVID. So
Mhm.
we were already on lockdown. So I was just, we were just in the house. We wasn't
Wow.
It was in the summertime, but then too, we were on lockdown. So it was nowhere you could go but like to the grocery store or to the park. So I gained weight, and then the kids, they couldn't fit their clothes either. So once they gave us the things back that they could after they cleaned it,
Mm.
we couldn't even fit it. So we just donated those,
Wow.
ended up donating those clothes.
Wow. I'm gonna ask this question. I'm gonna turn it over to my co-host. If you could talk about what did that feel like in that experience with, the house is on fire and you having to move and you don't have anything. Like, can you talk about how you handled those emotions?
For me, it was really stressful because I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't really know what we was gonna do because I was thinking, okay, like once we went to my mom's house and I'm thinking, okay, we don't have anything. We don't have hygiene products. We don't have any clothes. We don't have any of the kids' toys. It was Adriana's birthday had just passed, and so it was just like really we were just afraid, and I was in fear. How did you feel?
I was I was saddened and I felt helpless. Reason why is because as a as a provider for my family, as a father, as a husband, at that point it was nothing I can do.
Mm.
So and so I felt, like I said, I felt helpless. I felt saddened that I couldn't be that hero for my family. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing to save.
Mm.
And we had to try to like figure out moves, and it was just like, okay, get yourself together,
Mm.
and make sure that everybody at least, have some. We got to have some type of positive out of it.
Mm.
And let's just keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
We was blessed to be alive, you know, because we could have been asleep.
Yeah,
Because
that was
how
11
the
o'clock.
how the washroom is close to our room,
Mm.
and the kids' room is way on the other side.
Wow.
So had we all been asleep, that would have been a totally different story. So,
Wow.
I just thank God that we were up and we were able to get out, and just save our lives.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna relinquish my stance and turn it over to Madam Secretary, and we just gonna continue this conversation.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Good.
Um, I'm actually gonna let Takara go because I want to go last. I want to go last, and there's a reason. So I'll
This is
let
the
Takara.
first. This is the first.
Well,
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, woo, new year, new things, new beginnings. I see you. That's okay. Well, my brother and my sister, I definitely understand what it feels like to lose some things. And I also feel like in this situation, you learn something. What is something important out of this whole situation that you can help someone else learn about this situation that you just came out of or not too long ago came out of?
Have insurance. Definitely have insurance. Seriously,
Yes,
have insurance.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just I say educate yourself on that process and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have people out there that'll take advantage of you. You'll have like the night of the fire, we had
Mm-hmm.
people show up, like, hey, uh, we heard you had a fire. They would listen to the firefighters walkie-talkie.
Mm-hmm.
So they,
Yeah, the scanners.
yeah, and they was already trying to start so well, we can ask the insurance for this amount, and then we'll give y'all something like what?
And this is like 1 o'clock in the morning that
One
they
o'clock in the
showed up
morning.
because the
Who
fire,
does that?
yes, the fire was
What?
like around 11. We were still sitting outside because I called my parents and asked them to come. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's when different cars started showing up, and we're like, "What in the
Yeah,
world?"
like
But the fire department did tell us that would happen because they said that
Oh,
all the time.
yeah, the fire chief, he was like, you're gonna have people show up, but we didn't know like that.
We didn't know it was like right away.
wow. So
Yeah,
let me ask you another question. Did the Red Cross come out and help you guys, or what type of help did you get, and what type of help can someone in your situation besides the insurance? And we're gonna come back to that because I got one more follow up question about the insurance because I know there's several different types of insurance that can help you out. So well, while we're right there, let's talk about that. What type of insurance would you suggest, or was it something in particular that you had, or was it just rental insurance? How did that come into play?
Well, we have progressive home insurance, and just whenever you're selecting your premium or selecting your insurance, you have to just see what all it covers because there's
Mm-hmm.
like a bank account where you have so much money for each thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they give
Mm-hmm.
you so much for what you lost, and they'll give you so much for your home, and then they're also going to give you some enough for the hotel as well. Because you have to watch and make sure that you don't go over once you're in that. Because we were in a hotel, but they moved us to a rental house because they were saying, well, you want to make sure you don't want to go over because
Mm-hmm.
we only
Mm-hmm.
amount. And
Mm-hmm.
then a friend of mine, she was even telling me, she was telling me she was out for 6 months. So, but our contractor was telling us, oh, it'll be about 2 months. And they kept on telling us, uh, you'll be moving in soon by the end of the month, but it kept getting pushed back. So
Mm-hmm.
it just going into your insurance, looking at your policy, just making sure you have something in each of those categories because you're able to select what you want. But whenever the insurance company is talking to you and they're suggesting things, I would say to really listen to them because some people may think, oh, they're just trying to get more money, but you
Mm-hmm.
never know what your situation is gonna be. So
Even with it being a fire damage, right? So
mhm.
the fire department has to put the fire out. Does water damage cover that too? Water damage has to be included in that too, right?
Well, as far as the like whatever is damaged, they have to repair whatever was damaged. That caused
Damage. Okay.
our gate that was knocked down outside, and they
Hmm.
repair that gate.
yeah,
Wow.
because
Wow.
they had to surround the fire, so it was like
Hmm.
10 firefighters that went in the front and 10 that went in the back. And when they showed up, they said by time as soon as they opened the door, they seen like the fire shoot over to the kitchen. Yeah. So when they opened the door, it shot over to the kitchen, and that's how the fire spread.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I think my last question is going to be about, the help that you guys how did you come out of, because I know it's very emotional going through
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And it's very, I'm trying to use my words wise, very humbling situation, kind of. And so my question would be, how did the help you? And did it impact you in any way? And how did your family benefit from all the help you guys received?
It actually benefited us a lot. With Red Cross, we called them the next day, and they gave us a card with money on it that very next day. And then both of our jobs reached out to us. My job in particular, they actually went and bought like clothes, hygiene products, and they came and met us that very next day. And then our family, they would give us gift cards. They knew we were in a hotel. Family and friends would reach out to us, but it just reminded me
Mm,
like to not worry because God got your back. Because I couldn't
Mm,
yes.
imagine that they were going to do any of that. I just reached out to my boss and just let her know because we were actually in a training during that time, and I just let her know the situation, but I wasn't expecting her to get
Mm-hmm.
thing. And it's like in that type of situation, you really don't expect that all of these people will help you. So that
Yeah.
make me it just confirmed that God has your back, and it may not be exactly what you want, but you still
Mm-hmm.
need.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to add to that. I also feel like not only do God have your back, but also it's on how you treat people.
mm,
When you treat people good, you know, you get good things. You know, you treat people bad, and then you don't get that support that because like I said, like she said, we weren't even expecting it, but it's how we treat people. You know.
That's right. That's right. And I appreciate you both for coming on, talking about your journey and how impacted the fire impacted you, but to start a new beginning, to start over. I really admire you too. Q, you're my brother. Your mom actually saved my life. So it was wonderful to have you on to talk about something new. So I love you both. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And I'm going to turn it over to Miss New herself, Madam Secretary, down below, above, across, somewhere.
All right. Hi. I don't know you guys personally, but I kept smiling throughout because you guys are a miracle. I think you get to count your blessings when you're alive from something like your husband said, knowing that you could have been asleep, knowing that your kids could have walked in the kitchen. Those things I smile because each time each of you were talking, you could see you guys were supporting each other without ever looking at each other. Like she would speak, he would look over at her and just make sure she was okay. And then he would be speaking and she'll be looking at him to make sure he's okay. And I know you guys know each other, so you guys know it's a hard conversation, but you like, I got you. Like, I imagine if at any point in this, interview, either of you guys would have been like, it's a lot. The other would have rushed in and like really took care of each other. And I think this experience probably brought y'all like we all we got. Not, I mean, you had support, but just in a relationship, it was like tied strong because you guys are one. Literally, y'all are nodding at the same time. So, like, that's the cutest thing ever. And so, the reason why I wanted to go last is because I love the redemption story, right? Because there's no particular reason why this happened to you guys. Maybe, God's perfect will wanted you guys to be able to be stronger. We never know. Or maybe for you to help somebody. So, I want to know, where you guys are right now. How's things looking for you right now?
It's looking pretty good. What were you gonna say?
Go ahead.
I was gonna
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I was gonna say yes. We're back into our normal routine with work and school, and I for right now it's looking pretty good.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's going real good. It's still kind of like I said, through it all, I just thank God for it, because um what we didn't mention was that yeah, we had the house fire, but as they was rebuilding, they was finding other problems that could have caused the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had a electric fire if we never would have got the wires redone. you know
wow.
Either way, they say either way it go, it was going to be a fire. So that was just a blessing.
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
Wow. That's something that again you get to count your blessings
Right.
through the rebuild. And I'm pretty sure through the relationships you got to see some new relationships, and maybe even some of your old relationships. It was testing the strength of just different levels. And So I want to ask this other question because we know for sure if God would tell us what he's about to give us, we would probably not take it. We'd be like, nah, God, I'm good on that. So just understanding that he has his perfect plan for you guys. What is something that you guys look forward to the future? Um, like helping someone else. What is something that you can tell someone else if they have been in a fire? Maybe they have a fire yesterday or whatever. What is something that you guys could tell somebody that may be struggling right now?
I would tell them to like reach out to Red Cross and some of those other organizations that give donations, because some people may not have family and friends that's in this area, but that was really a help. Red Cross not only help with finances, but they also help with like where you can stay, like hotels,
Mm.
apartments. But we went through our insurance just because we had insurance, but they did check with us and asked us if we like what we needed.
Okay.
They knew exactly what questions to ask.
And I also say, like I said again in the beginning, get the education on it.
Mhm.
Make sure and pick your own contractor.
Mm.
Definitely do that
Mm-hmm.
because our insurance, we went with their contractor, and we didn't know, where the finance, where the money was going. They our insurance didn't check with us
Mm.
to get to finalize and say, hey, we want to go with them. They just automatically went with them. And then our insurance agent lived in Arizona.
Mm.
So she wasn't even in Texas. So it was
Mm-mm.
hard to get in contact with her. So,
Mhm.
that was a frustrating thing to go through. Not having an agent right there when you need her,
Mhm.
not being in the unknown.
Mm.
So I just say know the process. You
Mhm.
know allow them to check with you every step of the way, because like I said, we didn't get that. And so that added on to, our frustration that we're dealing with already because the contractor, he was going back and forth. He'll say, yeah, y'all ready to move in the house? And then when we getting prepared, oh no, y'all can't move in. So then they will have to find us another hotel.
Mm-hmm.
We moved in about 5 different
About five
hotels.
times.
They
The
moved us,
last one was the hotel. Well, we
yeah,
moved, 5
they
times.
moved us 5 times,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
5 times in different hotels because they couldn't get it right. And it's frustrating because we got 3 little kids.
Mm.
So we're not just moving ourselves, we're moving kids as well.
And then you're moving everything that you have that people
Everything.
have brought you. So you're
Mhm.
moving all of your things, not just a small suitcase. You have to move everything because your house has to be empty. So,
Mhm.
um, and another thing that I was gonna say was, when you're buying like large purchases, if they give you the option to email the receipt, I would say to go ahead and email the receipt, because we bought a TV like 2 weeks before the fire, and I just so happened to tell them to email the receipt. So that was one thing that I had proof that we just bought this. It was a couple
Mm.
just bought, and we had, because what they'll do is
I don't want to talk about the TV.
because what they'll do is they'll say it's worth, they'll determine what it's worth, because they'll just assume that
Mm.
for so long. But it's like, no, I had this less than a year. Then they'll give you more money for that item, because they would literally go through each item that was in
Wow.
your and see what was worth what. So I would say,
Mhm.
if you're buying like large big purchases, either like get an email the receipt, or take pictures and go
Mhm.
have that in your email for, because you may even have like if somebody break into your house or something, that's something you can also show your insurance.
Mm.
That's smart.
That's really good. I just had one more thing and I'll be done. I'm a mother too, right? And so I want to talk to you as a wife and a mother. I know your husband talked about, his side, we'll get to him, but as a mommy for your babies, what was like your first thought as far as you on the rebuild? How do you get them their morale up? Because I know we go into straight nurturing, like let me coddle you. So what did you tell your kids?
Um, like I mentioned earlier with Adriana, she just had a birthday, so she was really emotional because she had certain dolls that she wanted,
Mm,
and we were trying to save it. So like when we went back to the house, we would try to find different things and try to clean it, but we was telling her we can't give you this, we have to throw it away. And she was
mm,
like crying and really emotional,
mm,
and I felt so bad, but it was like I can't buy all of these things because this is not really a need.
mm,
So what I was trying to do was buy things little by little, like maybe each month let them pick out a toy or something just to boost their morale.
mm,
But even still, they didn't. It was like I could find joy in them because even they were finding happiness by being at the hotel because they feel like, oh, we're at a hotel. But we were like, oh, we're at a hotel. Like this is during the pandemic. We had to stay in the hotel room, but they were happy to be there. So we were able to, they're uplifting at times, and
mm,
then vice versa. We found ways to, yeah, let's go to the park and play at the park, to find ways. But that is true. With nurturing your child, and you want to see them happy.
That's so good. I love that. And then dad, you kind of spoke on being a husband and being a father and not being able to provide. But do you guys have boys?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we
have
have
one.
one.
So okay, so was it really a hard thing? Because I know there's this thing, I don't like it now because I'm a new age type of person. And I'm like, men cry. Men, if men don't cry, I be like, why you not crying? Cry. So what was something as a man, as a father, you felt like what was your role in everything, whether it was the redemption, coming back to a better place, or letting him know like it's okay when things happen to show your like what was something that you really did for your son? Because I know men be like, I'm good. There's nothing that could be good when this happens. Like, what did you do? What was some of your process?
Well, he's young, so it wasn't hard.
mm,
You know, he actually motivated me and encouraged me. You
mm,
know, when I fell down, I was going to him, and I was, let them know, hey, show you it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay
Yeah.
to, show your feelings. Don't hide it back. Don't think you either less or somebody gonna talk about you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need that relief
mm,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can let it go and move forward. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
and so
There's
that,
one more thing. I know I said I wasn't gonna ask nothing else, but
but
there's more. No, because while we're talking about the kids, I think within the fires, you guys may be the only ones we get to talk about the kids with. What was school like? Did the school support, or were you like, okay, we're gonna keep taking the kids to school? Did y'all take some time off? What was that process like?
They actually did support. They provided uniforms, and then a couple of teachers bought school supplies. So they were really supportive because they already knew the situation happened in the summer, but then when it was time to come back in August, they were really supportive. Um, and we didn't take time away because it's kind of my getaway. Get your mind off of it whenever you go to school and go to work. It would help me get my mind off of that. So
Oh,
it actually helpful to go back to work and school.
and plus they was with her because she a teacher, so they was in school with her.
okay. That's it. I'm done for real.
you sure?
Yeah,
You
I'm
sure?
sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Okay. Well, y'all, I thank you, fam, for just hopping on with us today, and I praying blessings over you. I'm praying that this podcast, this video, will help other people in their journey. There were so many nuggets that even stood out to me beyond the fire. Being ready to move when things just pop up out of nowhere,
Hmm.
right? Because the fire was unexpected, and it's like, but being so secure in knowing that God will take care of you, that no matter what happens, you know what I'm saying, that He's going to provide.
Hmm.
And so I thank you guys just for sharing your story, and hopefully we will see you guys very, very soon.
can I add one more thing?
What's up?
I was just gonna say, please, you know how you do the little drills at school? Do them
Uh,
at
oh,
these fire drills. Hey, they come in handy, you know, just to do the drills to make sure everybody's okay. So if when something do happen, you know, they already be prepared for it.
that's what's up. Y'all give it up for our guests, Mr. and Mrs. Roberson, and we'll be back after this break. All right.
There she go.
All right, guys, and we're back from break. Like we just got through visiting. We just got through interviewing the Robersons, and we have two other guests that we're going to bring in the room right now, who's going to tell their story on how they
Yes.
come to this point after their experience in losing their things in the fire. Um, just so we can continue this conversation and bring hope to those that might see it later. So we have,
Hello.
yay. Thank you for joining us today. We have Betty King, who everybody should know by now. That's my mom. And then we have none other than Pastor Terry Love Whitley, who is with us today. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Amazing.
I'm good.
Good, good, good. Mom, I want to just start with you, Mom. Like, just and then we'll go right into Pastor Whitley. Just share with us your story as to what was going on the day that the fire started.
Mm. Well, the day that the fire started, like a normal night, we went to sleep, and I had planned on getting up to have prayer with Ladder House at 5 o'clock, but they had texted and said they canceled. So I got up and got my phone, and well, I got up and got my phone and seen the text, and I laid back down.
Hmm.
And then probably less than 30 minutes later, Susan came in and asked, do we smell smoke? And I said, no, I don't smell smoke.
Hmm.
So we started looking for the smell. And lo and behold, it was in the ceiling. The ceiling is about to fall in. And that's how we discovered that the fire had already consumed the attic. We didn't have no chance to grab anything. I, my husband there, I told him, he gave me his robe, and we just got out of there. And by the time we got out of there, the whole ceiling just fell in.
Wow.
And we so Daryl went and started knocking on doors downstairs, and it just went everywhere. We didn't even think to dial 911 because we didn't see it until it was up, until I looked up in the ceiling. It was just frightening, terrifying. It just was shocking, really. It just a shocking thing to see. So someone called the ambulance. Somebody called the fire department and the ambulance, and everyone, thank God, everyone got out safe. The whole apartment complex burned down.
Wow.
And no one was hurt. No one, not even an animal. An animal even got out safe. All except I guess a python, a big snake. That's the
Oh,
only didn't get out. But everyone got out safely. But we lost everything. Everything. We just had the clothes on our back, and it was just it was just overwhelming. It was just like, this is not happening. This is not happening.
wow, wow.
But
Pastor Whitley, how about you? Where did it? How did it start for you?
she's on
You
mute,
on
I
mute?
think.
I was getting ready to go to bed because I had to work the next day. The boys were up playing Wii. It was probably the first Sunday in January 2012. The coldest day, absolute coldest day. I had on shorts and a tank. And Drew pulled out the electrical cord from the wall, and the whole thing exploded into the bed. And so the kids were saying, Mom, the house is on fire, the house is on fire. And I was like, okay. I run around the house into their room, and there's fire shooting out of the outlet into the bed. And so I'm trying to put it out. They're screaming. At the time, it was just me and them. So I told them, I said, lift the garage door, get out. I ran in my room, grabbed my purse, my cell phone, and my keys. Before I realized that the whole house was consumed, the fire department was called. Everything in the house was ruined because of course, they had to cut a hole out of the ceiling of the house. And that was the only way they could release the flames from spreading this way. They went this way. So it was just, I'm like mother here. I was totally shocked. I'm standing outside. My neighbors, we were all in close proximity, so they really understood, okay, we need to call the fire department. Fire department comes, I'm just completely staring. And then I realized my dog is still in the garage. I told the fire department, I said, please go get my dog. I cannot leave without my dog. He's going ballistic. The kids are screaming and hollering. The neighbors are coming out everywhere with blankets. And I stood there on the sidewalk on Richardson Street in Fort Worth, Texas, and watched my house go up in flames. We lost everything. Everything. You know, it was the matters of the heart because I had been in that house 13 years. And I guess you don't realize how much you accumulate in 13 years, but we had a lot of stuff in the home. And so, like I said, we lost everything.
I can only imagine like what that is like. I guess my question to you, Mom, is like, after that experience, what did it take? Or I don't even know if you experienced it, but what did it take to get a good night's rest somewhere else?
The Salvation Army, just even talking about it kind of just still just, oh my God, you saved me. The Salvation Army was called out, and everyone was given a number for the Salvation Army to each get everyone, so they could they gave us 2 days to live in a hotel. We stayed in the hotel for 2 days. And after 2 days, we had to find our own place to stay because the apartment complex, they didn't have room enough. They had 2 different apartments. They had another apartment, but they was all full. So we had to wait I think 3 months before they could get a apartment ready for us. So even in during that time, people were so generous to us. I mean, people was giving us money, people was giving us food, and Daryl's sister allowed us to come and stay at her house. She even allowed Susan to come and stay for a bit. And it was just trying to get my cell phone since I didn't have anything. I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have Social Security. Marriage license was all burned up. Birth certificate was all burned up. And my son, Elijah, when we went to AT&T, he was so able to talk to them, and they eventually gave me a phone that I'll be able to communicate with everybody. And then I had to go to the Social Security office to get a new Social Security number. It was just hard not having anything because someone else had to verify who you were so they could get, even with my driver's license, I had to get my birth certificate, I had to get my Social Security before I could get my driver's license. It was just like, it was overwhelming. And even with sleeping, my husband had to go to the hospital because he started having anxiety after the fact. And it was like waking up, like, smelling smoke, and smoke is not there. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Pastor Whitley, did y'all experience or did the kids experience any type of trauma signals, after that day?
I'm actually sure they did. I called their father, and the father lived around the corner, so he came and got them and kept them for a little bit for me. And I ended up going to a church member's house. I'm beating on their door with my dog at 2:00 in the morning.
Wow.
And the Red Cross came after everything had settled and all the dust had settled. I mean, everything smelled like smoke. I mean, there was just nothing, soot everywhere. The whole the whole house was just smoked out. It was just smoked out. I came back. So the Red Cross gave us vouchers so I could go get them coats because it was so cold, and gave us just a little bit of money so I could make sure that they had some clothing. Of course, they didn't go to school the next day. I had to call the school and advise them. And so I'm sure there was some trauma because they had lost everything as well. So it started in the twins' room and it went down the hallway. And so the kitchen and my room were casualties. The living area were casualties of water damage, but everything was a mess. Wow. It was a total mess. This is where you find out who's really in your corner and who really loves you.
Oh my.
And I say that with the utmost respect for everyone who reached out. At the time I was pastoring, so I had two things that I was dealing with. I was dealing with managing my time for the ministry and then trying to manage my household that was in disarray completely. And so we were able to get some vouchers with regard to staying in hotels. But what I did was I found a way to take that money and bless the church member and pay them rent so that we could stay with you.
Now that was wisdom, and I'm pretty sure was a blessing to them.
Oh, that person got to go to Europe that summer behind my rent.
Bless his name. Bless his name.
Well, won't he do it?
I say that with all intents and purposes. I could have easily just took that money, ran to a hotel, but I knew it was a place of comfort for me. It was a safe place.
Yeah.
And my kids were safe there. Yeah. And so once I got the kids taken care of, I was able to, we actually signed a contract. Now listen, church folks will fall out about money. So we got a rental agreement.
That's what's up.
Every month it was paid. Wow. Until we got the house rebuilt and moved back in May. But it took several months. I don't know if I slept that night at all. And it probably took me a week because here I am trying to figure out, the very thing that I preach to others. How are you going to get through it? Right. What's your faith look like now? Because you don't have anything. It's easy to preach prosperity when you have it.
Yeah, listen.
But what happens when you don't have it?
That part.
I had to go to my job and tell them, hey, I've lost everything. These folks were bringing money out of, everywhere.
Wow.
So, anyone who's gone through that, it's very devastating.
Wow.
You think about your memories. I think my only saving grace was I had my children's information in a metal file cabinet that went untouched.
Wow.
That's the only reason. But like I said, I grabbed my keys, my cell phone, my purse, and I backed my truck out of the garage before it got too bad and parked it on the street and just watched everything go up in flames. I don't know what I was thinking other than kids, get out of here. Just get out. Open the garage and get out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to relinquish my stance and turn it over to Madam Secretary for her questions, and then we'll go with Takara.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. I want to start by saying thank you guys for coming on and reliving this, this particular day, because I know it's not easy at all. This is not an easy subject. I said it in the last segment that the team knew that January would be hard because we had to have these hard conversations, because there's people that need these conversations to be had. And when you talk about fire and losing things, I think about PTSD. Right. And this is like war, but you're not off in Afghanistan. This is your home front. This is all you know. This is your safe place and your peace. This is your safe haven. And so to be in that place and to go back to those, to that day in time, what was my first question would be to either of you is, what was that one thing that when did you start to see hope? When did you start to, really breathe again?
I don't even know how to answer that, how to breathe. All I knew that when the ambulance came around, when the fire chief came and asked us how did it start, and I'm telling him, when I walked and seen the apartment again after they had still putting the fire out, I just fell on my knees and started speaking in tongues, because I know it was just God who got us out of there with us, not even us being hurt when we was right in the middle of it.
Mhm.
And what I get when I started, I guess when I can say this then, when my sister-in-law, when she came to the hotel and told us that we could come stay with her, I could breathe. I could breathe a little bit because then I knew that was my safe place. That was our safe place as well. Even when asking her what do we give you for rent, and she said y'all gonna need that because y'all don't have anything. Just save that until you're able to move back in. And every time somebody would give us money, even give us cards, just anything tangible, it was just like, oh, I can breathe, but then I'm still like I'm overwhelmed with all this giving, all this love
Right.
that was given to me. It's from people that some of the people I don't even know, because Elijah's church, they was giving clothes, giving jewelry, giving purses, giving food, and then my old church giving, and then Latter House giving. It was just, oh my God, it kind of covered me to not to even worry about the things that I lost.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I lost like pictures of Elijah and them when they was babies, when Keisha was a baby, my marriage pictures, just, I mean, everything was gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Okay. Pastor T, what was your moment?
My moment was when I called Wells Fargo and I told them and explained to them my house had been burned down. First thing the Wells Fargo said is, can we move your mortgage payment to another time until you can get it together? I, like mother, was very, very overwhelmed by the overabundance of love. I think hope for me came when I had to go through the process because my name was not the only one on the deed. I literally had a very, very strange relationship from my son's father, and everything I needed because his name was on the deed, he had to sign and I had to sign. That was probably one of the more difficult ones. But I realized that there was hope when, believe it or not, that scripture in Joel that says, I'll restore to you and I will rebuild and give you everything that you lost, what the cankerworm ate,
Come
you
on.
know, all of that. He says, and you will have plenty to eat
yeah,
and will be satisfied. I
that's
didn't
it.
have any recourse of action, but to actually go back to the things that I've preached to other people: faith and love
Yeah,
and character and integrity. And at what point when you have lost everything, you say, I still trust God?
yeah.
It was, when you lose everything, it's almost like death because everything that you built
That's
is
good.
gone.
Mhm.
And so when I went back to the house the next day and I saw, you know, how bad it was, I was just like, well, God, but let me give y'all this right here. I'm gonna give you this little nugget. Months before that, I kept saying, you know what? I really want to sell this house, but there's so many things that need to be done to it. Right when, right before the fire started, I kept walking in the living area and the floor was wet. And I kept thinking the kids were playing with water in the house. No, it was the water heater. The water heater started leaking from outside in the garage, under the carpet. All these things start happening. And out of nowhere, here this fire comes.
Mhm.
And so I kept saying, well, God, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Didn't you tell me that's what you wanted to do? You want to sell the house? But you had no money to do the repairs. You had no money to do this.
Oh,
You had no money to do that. And when I called the insurance company, and that's one thing. When you have a mortgage, you need to have your insurance built into your mortgage. So at times like this,
right.
even though you've lost everything that you get might be new, won't be what you had, but this a glimmer of hope that you'd already prayed and asked God how to do something. How can I do it? How can I refinance?
Right.
His name is on the deed. It was so much that I would have to go through in order to get that done. And God just said, I got it.
Mm.
Wow.
I got it. So hope came a few months later because that's when I had gotten the boys resettled in school. I was going back and forth. It was just a crazy time commuting from one city to another when they could just walk to the bus stop at first. But I had to be mom, I had to be everything.
Mhm.
And so hope for me was when they kind of got settled, and they talked to their counselors at school. To answer your question, I know the question was earlier, did they sense any trauma? Yeah, they talked to their counselors at school. Shoot, I even went and got on the sofa,
Mhm.
and I had to talk some things out.
Thank the Lord for the sofa.
Thank you, Lord. Thank
Yes,
the Lord.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you. That was really good. Thank you guys for sharing. Like I said, I know it's a hard conversation, but to the person that may be going through that right now and they don't see the light. They don't, they haven't started to breathe. You guys just let them know, breathe. You can make it, you can go. So thank you. And that'll be my round of questioning.
Hi, ladies. Thank you guys
Hey,
Hey.
once again for coming on and, to piggyback on what Titus and Madam Secretary said, to talk about this difficult subject. And I think I want to start with Auntie Betty. Auntie Betty, my question for you was, you were stating how overwhelmed the giving was. Um, did you? And I know you're a giver. So was it uncomfortable for you to receive the giving because you're so used to giving to other people all the time and having to just be, the better lack of words, humble to receive? Can you talk about how important it is to just receive and how it felt?
Well, when you said that, I was kind of like, huh? What? This don't make no sense. Cause one of my friends, he just walked up and put a check in my hand of $250, and I'm like, huh? What? I was just, yeah, I was at that point where I'm like, oh God. Even when cause our truck, my husband's truck was damaged, my
Mhm,
Jeep was damaged,
mhm.
the keys were left in the house, and we called a locksmith. He came out and he saw, oh my goodness. He said, I can't charge you all anything.
wow.
I'm like, I just started crying
Wow.
right there because I'm like, what? I said, are you sure?
Yes, I know even now it's
Yeah,
very emotional, and it's fine to get emotional. But I just want to mention that because I know you personally. You're definitely a giver. And so to receive something like that, just even that small thing, that's gonna help somebody to be humbled enough to receive when it's their time. Because I believe in giving, but I think sometimes we have a difficulty when it's our turn.
yeah.
Right, right. I agree. I agree. I was just like, okay, okay, this is what it is. Because even when
Hmm.
my sister-in-law was saying don't pay no rent, I say, I got to buy some groceries. I got to do something. I just can't
Right.
just stay here and
Right.
just do nothing. But
Hmm.
yeah, but I end up buying groceries, cooking, cleaning, and all that.
Because
I just like
sometimes
to
we,
make up when someone gives to you and you can't give
yes.
it back. It's like for me, it was like I can't give you anything back.
And I know sometimes we get empathy and sympathy and empathy mixed up.
Right.
And I think some people don't understand that having empathy is not a weakness. It's
Right.
not
Mm-mm.
something that makes you, weak hearted to have empathy for someone. And that leads me to Ms. Love. I have to ask you this question. Um, from a pastoral perspective, you spoke about, you know, preacher's prosperity and having to be put in this position. Can you tell us what that balance was like for you? Because I know it had to be very difficult to be like, okay, where is the balance between heaven
Yeah.
and earth?
Yeah.
Can you explain that balance for me?
Um, it took a minute to gain balance. All I knew was I had this loss, but at the same time was what I wasn't willing to give up on ministry and be the woe is me.
Ah, that's
I
good.
wasn't. I wasn't willing to, okay, we still have the church. You know, I would come in
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in the city to just check on the house, but I would spend more of my time at the church in my office, just really, just thinking, praying, God, what's next? And so
Mm.
you ask you ask that twofold though. You ask it from the perspective, okay, God, what's next for the ministry? And God help me maintain vision, even though it seems like my vision is broken.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
it's a reality. I mean, so you gotta stay, you know, I'm not saying stay deep. I'm saying stay spiritually balanced, because if I wasn't talking to God and if I was all I was doing was saying, well, what am I going to do now? You said you were God. How did you allow this to happen to me? Then it makes everything that I've preached for the last 20 years all for naught.
Mm.
The ministry also still had to see our pastor is still strong. Our pastor still has the wherewithal to still come feed us, even though she's going through.
Mm.
And so, I mean, the teaching point for me was, now I'm going to see who you really are, not from the people's perspective, but from God's
That's
perspective.
perspective.
Do
Mm-hmm.
you really trust me? Do you really trust
Mm.
me? I'm going to see how much
Mm.
you trust me when you lose everything.
That's so deep because I feel like in the physical form, yes, fire, but I think if you go a little bit deeper, we've all lost somewhere spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
We've all lost something, so we can definitely identify with loss in some form, shape, form, or fashion. And I think for me, it was very touching to hear you say this, that you didn't quit your assignment. And that's more powerful for me because my husband is a minister, and sometimes it gets so intense
Yeah.
coming from the heavenly perspective, having a relationship, and then trying to keep balance
Yeah.
between having being a human being, spiritually human,
Yeah.
when that's like out there being spiritually human, and then still having earthly feelings. So that balance was very definitive for me when you were speaking. My last question for you was, coming out of it, how did your family uh, build up? How are you now?
How are we now? Well, mercy, Lord. I can honestly say, reflecting on the time, because reflecting on that time, the loss was imperative. Somewhere along the way, everything that I wanted to do to this house before it was burned to the ground, God gave me twice that. I'm talking about custom made cabinets, hardwood floors, the whole 9 yards. And God He did something inside me that I'll never forget, because it was a strength that came out of nowhere. Tara couldn't have done it. I'm telling you now, Pastor Tara couldn't have done it. And I knew that there had to be a strength only that came from him, so that my kids could be stable. I could be emotionally stable. You know, the church rallied around me. Our partner churches rallied around me. My family in Tennessee, because I have no relatives here, they rallied around me. So you really needed to, what it showed me was an unconditional love for me and my children. We had already been through a whole lot, but for him to restore everything that we had lost and then some, it was one of the greatest things that I had ever experienced in my life. I too am a giver. And it was very difficult. My son was in
Mm,
private school on the west side of Fort Worth. Do you
mm,
know that the entire school gave us a huge envelope with nothing but cards, gift cards, money, the whole 9 yards? It was overwhelming. But that was how
Wow.
impactful my son was to this school. Everybody loved the
Mm-hmm.
enforcer. That's how they referred to him when he played basketball because he was so rough.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't miss a basketball
Wow.
game.
Wow.
I didn't miss a concert with the twins. I didn't miss anything because God
Mm.
kept saying, I got you. I'm going to restore you. And all I had to do was just wait on the manifestation.
As you were speaking, my last one, Titus, I promise you, I'm sorry. This conversation is so good. Both of you guys put me in the seat of trust. Especially when you stated that you don't have any relatives here. You literally had to trust people that you didn't, per se know, to the full extent of family.
Right.
So how was it trusting, doing something totally that you probably taught about, trusting? How did you feel about trusting in that moment? Either one of you.
You know what? I didn't have time to think about whether my nemesis was coming from a good place or not. Um, I literally was like, I'm, you know what? I've been giving my whole life. If God is blessing my enemy to become my footstool, so be it. And he did it. Folks that I least expected. My outlaws, in-laws slash outlaws, stepped up to the plate for their nephews and even for me. And so I didn't have time to figure out whether they were coming from a good place or not. I could only trust God that they were. The other part to it is they've never thrown anything up in my face. So that was one of the other places that I realized that God was doing something totally different. And I could have been a beast about it and said, you know what? I don't want anything from you.
That's good.
But God was
That's
like, no,
good.
no.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I'm the true presentation of what the word says when it says, I will make your enemies your footstool. I've
Come
seen it.
on.
I've seen it. I've experienced it.
And me on the hand of going to stay with my sister-in-law, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how this look. This is my sister-in-law. She picky. She tells you what's on her mind. And I'm like, I need to get out of her way. She give us a room to stay in. This is your room. This is your bathroom. And it was just peaceful.
Mm.
Yeah,
It was just a new level of respect for her and love for her.
true
Mm.
that.
It's like if I could do anything for you, you just if I see it, I wanna do it because she's just over in abundance. When we moved into our apartment, her ex-husband gave us beds, gave us couch, just
Mm.
filled our apartment up with furniture.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, God.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
powerful.
like, and I did want to just say this on the side. Be sure that you get insurance on the side for the apartment
Mm.
Yeah,
because the apartment you pay their insurance, but that insurance only for them.
Mm.
right.
You have to pay us separate because that's what we didn't know. We thought the insurance that we was paying to them would cover our loss,
Mm.
but it didn't. You have to have your own, pay that and pay a separate insurance.
Mm.
Agreed.
And also get you a lockbox with extra copies of your social security or even copies for them to know. Social security, birth certificate, a safe place that you a lockbox. I'm just gonna say that because they didn't even let us go back in the apartment. Even when they cleaned it out, we was lost. They didn't even allow us to even sever none of the things that was savable.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that someone was encouraged during this discussion that you can make it through. If you've experienced this, or if you're in the process, or if it just so happens to happen to you, that you're looking at three people that we've talked to that have made it through. They're standing back up, and I think that's what life is. We go through these cycles to where sometimes we just have to start over, not
Yeah.
by anything that we did wrong, because sometimes we can maybe ask these questions. Well, God, what did I do? Why am I deserving of this? But I think in these processes, we discover, like you said, Pastor Whitley, a greater strength within to make us rise up and
That's
say,
true.
you know what, I'm built for this. God, I trust you. God, I know that you're building something greater in me. God, I believe there's something more on the other side. God, I know that this is not here to destroy me, that I know that all things work together. Come on, for
Yeah.
my good. And even in this, you're going to cause this to work for my good. And you're already showing up
Yeah,
Right.
by the people that you're sending to bless
right.
me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
He didn't give you time. He didn't give me time to just have a woe is me party.
I
right.
agree. I didn't have
I
time
didn't have
either.
time because every time I woke up
Listen.
and seen another day, somebody was calling me, seeing how I was doing. Somebody was
Absolutely.
making sure that we had everything that we needed.
Absolutely.
It was just even my sister-in-law, I mean my nephews,
Hmm.
I finna say my sister-in-law children, they was all there for us. I mean, my family was there for me. His family, we were just, and I mean, it's just all the love. I mean, I can't, what they say, if I had 10,000 tongues, I
I'm
couldn't
telling you.
thank everybody enough. People that I didn't even know were just out there doing,
I
it
mean,
was,
and things happen so quickly. Uh, your first initial response is shock, like Mother Betty said. It's absolute shock. You're so busy trying to put your life back together. You don't really have time for that. Was me. I agree with her wholeheartedly with that because it was like, okay, my life is completely shifted. If you saw me now versus then, I mean, and I wasn't doing too bad,
Hmm.
but what I saw, that person then versus this person now,
No.
and there have been obstacles along the way the entire time, and yet God still keeps saying, I'm taking you line upon line, precept upon precept.
it's
As long as you're open and you're willing to receive what he has for you, even in the times of drama and trauma,
come on.
you will see him like you've never seen him before. You just have to have your eyes fixed. Like the
Yes.
text says, seek ye first. I didn't have time to seek out anybody else.
Right.
I had
Come
three,
on
I
now.
had three boys.
What you said.
I had three boys. I didn't have time to seek out, what life was going to be for me. I was living in the now. And I
Mm,
think so many times we want to have the foresight to do God's job rather
mm,
than
Mhm.
living right now. God, what are you doing
right
right
now.
now?
Absolutely.
Because the seasons are subject to change like people are.
Mm,
Yeah.
And so what one person might be in your season this season may not be in your season next season. The
Right.
things that you acquired 10 years ago may not be in this season for you. So
right.
we have to logistically keep in mind that we can't keep holding on to things that are not relevant to our spiritual growth.
Come on, come
Right.
on, come on.
Right.
And
I'm
then
just
your
saying.
season could be just that day.
Yeah,
Because seasons change just like that, 24/7.
as Texas weather.
I'm reminded of a scripture that said, have you tried my servant Job?
Ah,
Every family that we've seen today,
Mm,
the couple, when we looked at them, they were looking at each other and supporting each other and holding each other up. Betty said her sister came in and became a place of peace. You said, people came from different places, people that, he really showed his word in different ways
mhm.
for all of you guys. But I say this, and of course, talking about the bunker box, I always talk about fragmented people. This
mm,
seems like this made you more whole.
It
mm,
did.
Wow.
And then crazy, we talking about new beginnings, but new beginning out of the ashes, you guys were. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Yeah,
This, and I say, in my experiences of loss, that I wouldn't do it any different. I wouldn't
mm,
right.
trade it for nothing because I wouldn't be who I am and where I am today without it. But you guys
Yeah.
look, like I said, you guys look amazing. You guys, and your story is gonna help somebody. I mean, it's helping us. I know it's helping me
Well,
because
let me just say this. There are good memories in that home, and there are some horrible memories in that home.
mm,
So I must say, for it to go up in flames that way, I said, well, God, you know what? You can't speak any plainer. Because he says, I want you to forget those things that are behind you.
Come on now, that's good.
I want you to forget those things that are behind you. And so I can burn this.
Listen.
I can burn this
Yeah.
because there's some things that you need to forget in order to have a new beginning. And we have a hard time with that because we will carry the foolishness of the past in an effort to have a new beginning. And God keeps saying, that's not what I want for you.
Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
No, you don't have to be.
We're going a little revival.
Oh yes,
Listen.
honey, we going new beginning, honey. You breaking that on down.
Y'all giving us some
I'm like,
tools for
he
the
is
future.
the Alpha and the Omega for a reason.
Right.
But see, there's some subjective things that go on in between.
Come on now.
And they're subjective because sometimes we operate in flesh rather than in the spirit. And he says, if I be for you, I'm more than the world against you. So don't just trust me this time because this is what you want.
Come on.
Trust me because this is what you need. And I want what's in your best interest. So I just want to just leave you with that.
Y'all listen, y'all dropping.
See, that's why I like her be talking, Lord. You
pebbles, all kind of stuff.
Thank you, God.
Y'all dropping raindrops. It's really good because listen, I think Betty said it. The couple before now said it as well. The lockbox, and you said you had a lockbox. I did for people that have not experienced the fire. That is something for everybody. Go and protect your important papers because it may not be a flood. I mean, it may not be a fire. It may be. She said a water heater. It may be a flood. You never know what disaster may happen or if it will happen. But if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. I think they also said for my kids. The other day, they were saying, put a plan in place before anything ever happens, a meeting point. Hey,
that's what they said.
If anything happened and we leave out of here, I did that the other day with my children. I something inside of me just said, talk to them, give them a drill, because when I was a teacher, I would drill my kids even before any of the school's fire drills because I wanted to have a head count of my kids. So I made it to where I can easily identify each kid. And I would know who was missing. So thank you guys for that.
Amen. Because when I worked at the daycare, I worked at the daycare and we would have fire drills, just random fire drills. We didn't know when we were going to have it, but we would have it so you could stay ready. So that is a good idea.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining in on this new beginning conversation, starting over by fire. And I pray that those that seen it or that will see it will be encouraged to you. Make sure that this will spark your remembrance to go ahead and get that single January 28th, because from the ashes you will rise.
Amen.
After the dust settles, you will see that it was only meant to start. Your new beginning. So y'all, that's our show, and we will talk to you guys later.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us as well. Good to see you.
From the ashes you will rise. After the dust settles, you will see that it was only meant to start your new beginning. From the ashes. After the dust settles, you will see that it was only meant to start your new